Picture a door that has been in your house the whole time. You've walked past it for years, busy, tired, waiting for the right day. And today, without fanfare, you place your hand on the handle. Not because everything is fixed, because you're done arguing with yourself, done paying for the past with your present, done mistaking shame for discipline. This is the beginning of a different kind of change. Quiet, steady, evidence-based. A return to your own word. Before we begin, I want you to know this. You don't have to be fearless to change your life. You just have to be willing. Willing to start smaller than your pride prefers. Willing to repair instead of spiral. Willing to build self-trust one proof at a time. This book isn't here to hype you up. It's here to stabilize you. To give you language for what's been happening inside you and structure for what happens next. If you've been carrying the thought, I should have started sooner, let this be your answer. You're starting now, and now counts. It's not too late. Reinvent. Introduction. You're not too late. You're here. If you picked up this book, you might be carrying a private fear that the best parts of life are behind you, and whatever is left is cleanup. Maybe you didn't become who you thought you would be. Maybe you made choices you regret. Maybe you lost years to survival mode, grief, addiction, depression, anxiety, procrastination, caretaking, a toxic relationship, or a job that slowly hollowed you out. Or maybe nothing terrible happened, and that almost feels worse because you can't point to a single cause. You just look up and think, how did I get here? I want to offer you something steady and true. Feeling late is not the same as being too late. Feeling behind is often a symptom of unprocessed grief, chronic stress, shame, or a nervous system that learned to brace for disappointment. When your mind is tired and your body is tense, even simple tasks can feel like cliffs. This book is not a pep talk that asks you to pretend everything is fine. It's a rebuild, written like a therapy coach would guide a client, with compassion, clarity, and small steps that turn into proof. Nadia wasn't failing in a dramatic way. That's what made it hard to explain. She had a job, she paid her bills, she showed up for her family. But at night, when things got quiet, she'd scroll on her phone and feel a rising panic in her chest, like her life was happening somewhere else without her. She kept thinking, I missed my window. And then she noticed something. The panic came most aggressively when she tried to plan too big. When she told herself she had to fix everything, her body shut down. Exhaustion, headaches, avoidance. What changed her life wasn't a sudden transformation. It was one gentle decision. She stopped trying to save her whole life and started trying to keep one promise. One walk a day. One page of journaling. One honest conversation. Over time, her confidence returned, not as a feeling, but as evidence. Marcus used to say, I'm just holding myself accountable. But his version of accountability sounded like punishment. If he missed a workout, he'd spiral. If he made a mistake at work, he'd call himself names. He believed he had to suffer before he deserved progress. His breakthrough came when he learned the difference between responsibility, I can change my behavior, shame, I am my worst behavior. Reinvention became possible when he stopped treating himself like an enemy. The method. Gentle doesn't mean vague. You will not be asked to just think positive. You will be guided to tell the truth without self-attack. Build self-trust through small, repeatable promises. Design your environment so your future is easier to choose. Create a plan that respects your energy, your responsibilities, and your real life. If you only take one thing from this introduction, let it be this. You don't have to feel ready to begin. You have to feel safe enough to try. And we can build that safety, step by step. Chapter 1. The day you stop arguing with yourself. Self-argument usually sounds like this. I need to change, but I'm tired. I wasted time, so what's the point now? I know what to do, but I can't make myself do it. If I start again, I'll just fail again. It's easy to assume this means you're lazy or broken. But in a therapy coach lens, self-argument is often a sign of something more human. Two parts of you are trying to protect you in different ways. One part wants growth, pride, peace, momentum. Another part remembers pain, disappointment, rejection, failure, shame, instability. So it says, don't try too hard. Don't hope too much. Don't start unless you can guarantee it. That protective part isn't your enemy. It's just outdated. It learned its job in a different chapter of your life, when hope felt unsafe. Self-argument is also fed by three common forces. 1. Overwhelm. When you try to fix everything at once, your nervous system shuts down. 2. Shame. When you believe you're bad, action feels pointless. 3. Broken self-trust. When you've restarted a lot, starting feels like a lie. This chapter is about one major shift. We stop using self-attack as fuel, and we start using truth plus small promises to rebuild trust. David was functional. That was the problem. From the outside, he looked okay. A job, responsibilities, a social life that existed mostly through group chats. But in the quiet moments, driving home, standing in the shower, waking up at 3 a.m., he heard the same thought. You're wasting your life. He tried to fix it the way many high-functioning people do. He made ambitious plans, new routines, big goals, a Monday reset. And then, inevitably, something would happen. Work stress, family obligations, fatigue, and the plan would collapse. When it collapsed, he didn't just feel disappointed. He felt exposed, like the collapse proved his worst fear. See, you can't change. One night, after another restart attempt failed, he sat at his kitchen table and did something different. Instead of writing a new plan, he wrote a single sentence. I'm exhausted, but I'm not done. Then he asked himself a gentler question. What is one action so small I won't argue with it? He chose 10 minutes of walking, every day, for 1 week. No heroism, no reinvention speech, just 10 minutes. On day 7, he realized something quietly life-changing. He didn't feel like a new man, but he felt like someone he could trust. That's where reinvention actually begins. The steps with brief explanations. Step 1. Rename what's happening so you stop taking it personally. What to do? When you feel stuck, say, this is self-argument, not truth. Self-argument is a state, usually triggered by fear, shame, or overwhelm. When you label it, you create space between you and the thought. You stop treating every fear as a prophecy. Step 2. Reality is information, not a verdict. What to do? Write 5 factual statements about your current life. Keep it neutral. I'm not where I want to be financially. My energy is low most days. I avoid hard conversations. I start strong and drop off. I feel behind people my age. Neutral truth is stabilizing. It's shame that turned facts into identity. Facts give you a starting point without crushing you. Step 3. The reinvention decision. The one sentence that ends the debate. Write this and keep it visible. Starting today, I'm allowed to begin again, without punishing myself. A clear decision stops the mind from endlessly negotiating. You're not promising a perfect future, you're claiming permission to take the next step. Step 4. The reality inventory, 12 minutes. Set a timer and answer. 1. What feels heavy right now? 2. What have I been avoiding and why? 3. What would create the quickest relief? 4. What do I want life to feel like in 12 months? 5. What is one tiny daily action I can do even on a hard day? This is the bridge between emotion and action. Most stuckness comes from vagueness. I need to change. Specificity turns panic into a plan. Step 5. The no more list. Boundaries, not punishment. Write 7 compassionate but firm no more lines. No more abandoning myself after a mistake. No more waiting for confidence before I act. No more trying to fix my whole life in one weekend. No more calling it who I am when it's a pattern. Boundaries tell your brain, we're serious now, but we're also safe. It's structure without self-hate. Step 6. The 7-day promise to rebuild self-trust. Choose one small action for 7 days. Walk 10 minutes. Journal 5 lines. Clean 10 minutes. Learn 15 minutes. Apply to one opportunity daily/weekly, depending on realism. People who feel late often try to catch up with huge plans. Huge plans trigger self-argument. A small promise builds a new identity. I follow through. Step 7. The restart rule. The difference between progress and the spiral. Write this rule. If I miss a day, I restart within 24 hours without shaming myself. Most people don't fail because they slip. They fail because they interpret the slip as meaninglessness and quit. Restarting quickly is the actual skill. You are not late because you have regrets. You are not disqualified because you needed time to survive. You're here. And being here means there's still room to build something honest. Your first job isn't to become perfect. It's to become reliable to yourself. Chapter 2. Forgiveness that isn't fake. If Chapter 1 is where you stop arguing with yourself, Chapter 2 is where you stop sentencing yourself. For a lot of people, especially ages 30 to 50, and anyone who feels late, forgiveness sounds like a luxury. Or worse, it sounds like lying. Because the mind says, if I forgive myself, I'm letting myself off the hook. If I stop feeling bad, I'll never change. What I did cost real time, real money, real relationships. I can't just move on. I don't deserve peace yet. This is the trap. You confuse punishment with accountability. Punishment keeps you focused on the past. Accountability builds your future. This chapter is not asking you to pretend nothing happened. It's asking you to stop using pain as proof that you're becoming a better person. Pain is not proof. Repair is proof. Samira had a private routine she never told anyone about. Every time she made a mistake, missing a deadline, overeating, snapping at her daughter, she didn't just feel regret. She would mentally replay old failures like a punishment playlist. The relationship she ruined, the degree she never finished, the years she felt she wasted. It looked like responsibility, but it felt like drowning. One day, after a small argument at home, she caught herself doing it again, sitting on her bed, staring at nothing, punishing herself with memories. She suddenly realized she had been paying for the past for years, and it wasn't making her more responsible. It was making her more tired. So she tried a different question, one that didn't let her off the hook, but also didn't crush her. What would repair look like today? Not, how do I erase what I did? Not, how do I feel forgiven? Just, what would repair look like today? She apologized without defending herself. She cleaned up one neglected responsibility. She wrote down one boundary she needed. Small, imperfect actions. That's when forgiveness started to feel real, not like a feeling, but like a direction. The core idea, guilt versus shame, and why it matters. Before we do the steps, you need one distinction. Guilt says, I did something wrong. This can lead to repair. Shame says, I am something wrong. This leads to hiding, avoidance, and self-sabotage. When people say they can't forgive themselves, they're often living under shame, not guilt. The goal of this chapter is to move you from shame identity, to responsibility, behavior. The steps. Step 1. Name what you're holding, clearly, not dramatically. Write one sentence. The thing I haven't forgiven myself for is, then add, the cost of holding on to it has been blank. Vague pain turns into endless self-attack. Naming it makes it workable. Also, noticing the cost gently exposes the truth. Punishment isn't keeping you safe, it's keeping you stuck. Step 2. Separate harm from identity. Rewrite the statement in two parts. Behavior, I did blank. Identity, what shame says, this means I am. Then cross out the identity part and replace it with, this means I'm human and responsible for repair. Reinvention needs energy. Shame steals energy. Separating behavior from identity lets you take responsibility without collapsing. Step 3. The accountability triangle. Own it, understand it, repair it. This tool keeps forgiveness from becoming fake. Own it. No excuses, just truth. Ask yourself, what happened? What part was my responsibility? Who was affected, including me? Owning is how you regain integrity. You stop living with the quiet fear of your own story. Understand it, the why that leads to change. Ask yourself, what was I feeling then? What was I protecting, avoiding? What skill did I lack? Boundaries, communication, emotional regulation, planning. Understanding prevents repeat patterns. Without understanding, you just recycle the same apology in a new year. Repair it. The smallest real repair counts. Choose one repair action. An apology, if safe and appropriate. A repayment plan. A boundary. A corrective habit. For example, budgeting system, weekly check-in, therapy, sobriety support, routine change. A closure ritual when direct repair isn't possible. Repair turns regret into forward motion. Forgiveness becomes believable when your life shows evidence of learning. Step 4. Decide what kind of forgiveness you need. Not everything is the same. Ask, which one is this? 1. Forgiveness for a mistake, poor judgment, avoidance, wasted time. 2. Forgiveness for a pattern, repeating behavior, self-sabotage. 3. Forgiveness for survival choices, what you did to cope when you didn't have tools. People often judge survival choices by the standards of a stable season. That creates unnecessary cruelty. You still learn, but you learn with context. Step 5. The Make Amends Without Self-Abandoning script. If you need to apologize, use this structure. 1. Acknowledge. I want to acknowledge that I did this. 2. Impact. I understand it affected you this way. 3. Ownership. I'm not here to defend it. 4. Repair. What I'm doing to repair/change it. 5. Boundary/request. Optional. I respect whatever you need from here. This keeps you from apologizing in a way that secretly asks the other person to rescue you from shame. Step 6. When you can't repair directly and guilt keeps looping, sometimes the person is unsafe, the relationship is gone, they've passed away. Contacting them would do more harm. What you can do is create an indirect repair. Donate time/money to a cause connected to the harm. Mentor someone in the area you failed in. Write the apology letter, but don't send it. Commit to a specific corrective practice for 30 days. Your nervous system needs a sense of completion. Indirect repair gives your brain an ending that isn't denial. Step 7. A gentle truth. You may not feel forgiven at first. I don't need to feel forgiven to act like a repaired person. Feelings often lag behind behavior. Many people wait for emotional permission. This chapter gives behavioral permission first. Forgiveness that isn't fake isn't a declaration. It's a practice. It sounds like, I won't deny what happened. I won't become what happened. I will repair what I can. I will learn where I can't. I will not spend the rest of my life paying for one chapter. You're not trying to erase the past. You're trying to stop letting it collect interest. Chapter 3. Self-trust is a skill, not a personality trait. If you've tried to change before and it didn't stick, there's a specific kind of disappointment that follows you. It's not just that plan didn't work, it's I can't trust myself. And once that belief settles in, everything becomes harder. You hesitate before committing to anything because you don't want to break another promise. You overthink small decisions because you don't believe your instincts. You make giant, dramatic plans to convince yourself you're serious, then collapse under the weight of them. Or you stop making promises altogether and call it being realistic, when what you really mean is, I don't want to get my hopes up again. This chapter is here to offer you a calmer truth. Self-trust isn't a personality trait. It's a skill. And skills can be rebuilt, quietly, practically, and without shame. Self-trust doesn't come from motivation. It comes from evidence. Evidence that you can choose commitments that match your real life, keep them often enough to feel steady, and repair quickly when you don't. That's the entire method. Not perfection, not reinvention as performance. Reliability plus repair. What self-trust actually is and what it isn't. Self-trust isn't a constant feeling of confidence, never doubting yourself, always choosing the right thing, being disciplined in a harsh, joyless way. Self-trust is believing you'll show up for yourself more and more often. Knowing you can handle discomfort without abandoning yourself. Knowing a slip won't turn into a spiral. Making promises you can keep and keeping them consistently enough to feel safe. If you grew up in environments where love was conditional, self-trust can feel unfamiliar because you learn to rely on performance, not relationship. You learn to be impressive, helpful, easy, strong. But self-trust is not a performance. It's a relationship. And relationships don't become trustworthy through grand speeches. They become trustworthy through repeated, believable behavior. Why you don't trust yourself? It's usually not laziness. Most self-trust issues come from one of these patterns. 1. Overpromising. You ask yourself for a version of change that doesn't match your life, energy, or nervous system. You plan like someone with unlimited time, no emotional stress, no history of burnout, no competing responsibilities, and a body that never needs rest. Then you fail, and the conclusion becomes, I can't stick to anything. But the truth might be, you were trying to run an identity you hadn't built evidence for yet. 2. All or nothing thinking. If you can't do it perfectly, your brain says it doesn't count. Miss one workout, I'm back at 0. Eat one emotional meal, I ruined everything. Lose one productive day, I'm falling behind. This is not a character problem, this is a system problem. You haven't built a way to continue after imperfection. 3. No repair skill. When you break a promise, you don't repair, you punish. Punishment can create short-term compliance, but it destroys long-term trust. If every slip leads to self-contempt, your mind will eventually protect you by avoiding commitments entirely. Your nervous system doesn't want you to promise things if promises are followed by shame. So we build a different pattern. Make smaller promises, keep them more often, repair quickly and kindly when you don't. That's how trust is rebuilt. The core model, the self-trust loop. Here's the simplest, most repeatable framework for this chapter. The self-trust loop. 1. Choose a believable promise. 2. Keep it, often enough. 3. Log the proof. 4. Repair fast if you slip. 5. Repeat. Self-trust isn't a single breakthrough. It's a loop you practice until it becomes normal. Let's break it down. 1. Choose a believable promise, the clean promise. A believable promise is one you can keep on an ordinary day, not just a perfect day. A clean promise is specific, so you know what counts. Small enough to be repeatable, tied to a time or cue, not dependent on motivation, not a punishment. The clean promise checklist. Before you commit, ask, can I do this when I'm tired? Can I do this on a stressful day? Does this fit my schedule as it actually is? Does it require willpower I don't reliably have yet? Would I still do it if no one praised me? If the answer is no, the promise is too big for the current stage of your self-trust muscle. That isn't failure, that's calibration. Examples: big promise to clean promise. I'll work out 6 days a week. To, I'll walk for 10 minutes after lunch 4 days this week. I'll stop scrolling. To, I'll plug my phone in outside the bedroom by 10:30 p.m. I'll fix my life. I'll do a 15-minute reset, dishes, counters, laundry start on weekdays. I'll be disciplined. I'll keep one appointment with myself every day. Clean promises feel almost too small. That's how you know they're good. Because the goal isn't to impress yourself. The goal is to become believable to yourself. 2. Keep it. Consistency over intensity. Self-trust is built more by frequency than by difficulty. If you do something small, repeatedly, you create a new internal expectation. I do what I say. Your brain starts to relax. It starts to plan with you instead of arguing against you. A note on minimums. Your minimum is not the goal. Your minimum is the floor that keeps you in the relationship even on hard days. Example. Minimum. Put on my walking shoes and step outside for 2 minutes. Standard. 10-minute walk. Bonus. 20 minutes plus stretches. On a rough day, you aim for the minimum, not because you're lowering standards, but because you're refusing to abandon yourself. 3. Log the proof, so your identity has something to stand on. Most people do small good things and immediately dismiss them. They say, it was nothing. I should be doing more. Anyone could do that. But if you don't record the proof, your mind can't use it. Self-trust grows when you can see your evidence. Your proof portfolio, start it today. Create a page in your Notes app, a notebook, or a document titled, Proof I'm Becoming Reliable. Each day you keep a promise, write a single line. I walked for 10 minutes even though I didn't feel like it. I said no without explaining. I stopped working at 6:30 p.m. I cooked something simple instead of ordering. I repaired quickly after slipping. This isn't cheesy. It's not fake positivity. It's data. And data changes identity. 4. Repair fast when you slip. This is the real skill. This is the part most people never learn. They think self-trust means never slipping. But self-trust actually depends on what you do after the slip. A slip is not the end. It's a moment that requires repair, like any relationship. The 5-minute repair protocol. When you break a promise, do this within 24 hours. 1. Name it without drama. I didn't do the thing I said I'd do. 2. Remove shame from the room. That doesn't make me bad. It means I'm human and this skill is still forming. 3. Find the cause, not the excuse. Ask, what got in the way? Too big of a promise? No cue/no plan? Emotional overwhelm? I didn't sleep? I avoided discomfort? 4. Adjust the promise. Make it more believable or add structure. Smaller, earlier, with a cue, with support. 5. Do a closing action, 60 seconds. Something tiny that reopens trust. Lay out clothes for tomorrow. Write the next step. Drink water. Set the reminder. Take a 2-minute walk. Repair tells your brain, even when I miss, I come back. That coming back is self-trust. 5. Repeat until it becomes normal. Reinvention gets easier when your nervous system expects follow-through. Not because life gets perfect, because your relationship with yourself becomes steadier. If you keep one small promise daily for 14 days, you will feel different. Not because everything changed, but because you became more believable to yourself. Practices. Do these as written, simple, specific, effective. Practice 1. The 2 promises, daily plus weekly. Choose 1 daily promise, tiny, non-negotiable. 1 weekly promise, a little bigger. Daily promise. Examples. 10-minute walk, 10 pages of reading, 5-minute tidy reset, protein at breakfast, phone outside bedroom, 3-minute breath plus journal line. Weekly promise. Examples. 2 strength workouts, 1 meal prep session, 1 financial check-in, 1 hard conversation, 1 social plan that supports your growth. Write yours. My daily promise. What? When/Q. Minimum version. My weekly promise. What? When? Support/structure. Practice 2. The believability scale, so you stop overpromising. Before you commit, rate the promise 1 to 10. 10 equals, I can do this even on a messy day. 7 equals, doable but needs some effort. 4 equals, I'm hoping future me saves me. 1 equals, fantasy plan. Rule. Only commit to promises that are 7 to 10. If it's a 4, you don't need more discipline. You need a smaller promise. Practice 3. The proof portfolio. 7 lines, 7 days. For the next 7 days, write 1 line per day. Proof I'm becoming reliable. Day 1. Day 2. Day 3. Day 4. Day 5. Day 6. Day 7. If you miss a day, do not restart the whole thing. Repair and continue. Practice 4. The slip plan. Your nervous system needs this. Answer these now so the spiral doesn't write the story later. When I slip, my usual pattern is, for example, shame, quitting, numbing, overcorrecting. When I slip, I will repair by Step 1. Name it. Step 2. Drop shame. Step 3. Find cause. Step 4. Adjust. Step 5. Closing action. Closing action I can do in 60 seconds. Troubleshooting, because real life will happen. I keep breaking promises to myself. Then the promise is too big, too vague, or too unsupported. Try, cut it in half. Attach it to a cue. After coffee. After I brush my teeth. Make the minimum ridiculously small. Reduce friction. Prepare the night before. I don't feel motivated. Good. We are not building a motivation-based identity. Use cues, minimums, and repetition. Motivation can visit. It doesn't get to be in charge. I'm afraid to promise anything because I'll fail again. That fear is protective. It's trying to prevent shame. Start with a promise you can keep even on your worst day. I will write 1 sentence. I will take 1 lap around the block. I will put my shoes by the door. Then log the proof. Let your brain see it. My inner voice gets mean when I slip. That voice learned that harshness equals improvement. It's outdated training. Replace it with a repair voice. We're practicing. Let's adjust. We don't spiral. We return. Small, steady, honest. Kindness isn't indulgence. It's stability. Chapter close. You are not behind. You are building. Self-trust isn't built by dramatic reinvention. It's built by keeping small agreements with yourself and repairing when you don't. You don't need a new personality. You need a new pattern. And when you start collecting proof, real, simple, unglamorous proof, you stop needing hype. You stop needing perfect timing. You stop needing to argue with yourself. You begin to become someone you can count on. In the next chapter, we'll go one layer deeper: identity before strategy. Because once you have evidence that you follow through and repair, you can start changing what feels normal for you, without forcing it, without pretending, without trying to become someone else overnight. You won't build your new identity out of wishful thinking. You'll build it out of proof. Chapter 4. Identity before strategy. If you've ever made a plan you meant, a real plan, a serious plan, and then watched yourself quietly drift away from it, you've probably asked some version of this question: what is wrong with me? But the deeper question is usually this: what version of me is this plan written for? Most strategies fail not because they're bad strategies, but because they're built on an identity that hasn't shifted yet. They assume a new you will appear through sheer effort. They assume you can behave like a person you don't yet believe you are, day after day, without your nervous system pulling you back toward what feels familiar. That pull isn't weakness, it's conditioning. Your identity is not just what you say you want. It's what you expect from yourself. It's what feels normal. It's what your body recognizes as safe. And until identity begins to change, strategy will always feel like you're trying to hold your breath and act happy underwater. The good news is, identity is not a fixed trait. Identity changes through evidence, and you're already collecting evidence, because Chapter 3 taught you how to build self-trust like a skill. This chapter will show you how to go one layer deeper, how identity is formed, how it quietly runs your choices, and how to shift it without hype, pretending, or dramatic reinvention. You're not here to become a fake version of yourself. You're here to become a truer one, supported by proof. What identity really is, and why it's stronger than goals. When people hear identity, they often think of personality: introvert, extrovert, confident, shy, disciplined, not disciplined. But identity in reinvention work is simpler and more useful. Identity equals what you believe is normal for you. It's made of your self-talk: I'm the kind of person who, your expectations: I always mess this up, I never follow through, and your default responses under stress. Identity isn't only mental, it's bodily. If you've lived in survival mode, your body may interpret consistency, rest, or visibility as danger. You might want a calm, structured life while your nervous system still expects chaos. So the goal isn't to force yourself into a new identity. The goal is to make the new identity feel believable and safe. Why strategy first doesn't work, even when you're smart. Strategy first looks like, I need a perfect schedule. I need the ideal workout plan. I need the right morning routine. I need a 30-day challenge to reset. These can be helpful later, but when you start there, you're often asking yourself to behave like someone you don't trust yourself to be, with tools you don't yet know how to maintain in a life that may not support them. Then when the plan breaks, you don't say, that strategy didn't fit. You say, I'm the problem. This chapter is designed to prevent that story. The identity ladder: how becoming actually works. Here's a framework you can return to whenever you feel stuck. The identity ladder. 1. Values: what matters to me now? 2. Evidence: what proves I'm living it? 3. Identity. Who am I becoming based on evidence? 4. Strategy. What plans support that identity? Most people try to jump straight to step 4, but step 4 holds only when steps 1 to 3 are real. Let's walk through each one. 1. Values. The quiet core, not the Pinterest version. Values are not aspirations like, I want to be successful. Values are the principles you want to live by even when no one is watching. Examples: steadiness, honesty, health, creativity, dignity, freedom, courage, service, simplicity, self-respect, connection, peace. Values matter because they create an internal compass. Without them, strategy becomes punishment. Do more, be better, fix yourself. With values, strategy becomes support. I'm building a life that fits what I care about. A grounded question. What do I want to feel more of in my life, consistently? Not once, not on vacation, not when everything is perfect. Consistently. 2. Evidence. The only thing your brain believes. Your mind might not believe affirmations yet, but it will believe receipts. Evidence can be small. I kept a promise for 8 days. I repaired after a slip. I said no once this week. I did the minimum instead of quitting. This is why Chapter 3 matters. Self-trust practices don't just build habits, they create identity data. Evidence is how you shift from I'm trying to I'm becoming. 3. Identity. Make it specific, gentle, and believable. Identity statements work when they are true enough to accept, specific enough to guide choices, kind enough to sustain. Not, I am unstoppable. I am a brand new person. I never procrastinate. Those can trigger your inner skeptic, and you'll feel the internal arguments start again. Try identity statements that are in progress and evidence-based. I'm becoming someone who keeps small promises. I'm a person who returns quickly instead of spiraling. I'm learning to treat my body like it matters. I'm someone who tells the truth sooner. I'm building a stable life, not a dramatic one. These statements aren't fantasy, they're direction. 4. Strategy. Now your plan has something to stand on. Strategy becomes easier when it supports an identity that already exists in seed form. Instead of, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. and become disciplined, it becomes, I'm someone who keeps small promises, so my plan needs to be small enough to keep. Instead of, I need to overhaul my diet, it becomes, I'm someone who respects my body, so my food choices need to be steady and non-shaming. Identity-first strategy isn't less ambitious, it's more sustainable. The identity rewrite, a practical method. Reinvention often requires rewriting an identity story that is no longer accurate, but still loud. We'll do it in 3 steps. Step 1. Name the old identity story without cruelty. Examples: I'm inconsistent. I always fall off. I'm not disciplined. I can't change. I'm too late. Write yours. Old story I keep repeating. Step 2. Translate it into what it was protecting. Old stories usually protect you from disappointment. For example, I'm inconsistent may protect you from making a promise. I can't change may protect you from hope. I'm too late may protect you from trying and feeling grief. Step 3. Replace it with a true, evidence-based identity statement. Not hype, truth. New identity statement, I can live inside. Then add 1 line of evidence you can create this week. This week's proof action. Practices, the part that changes your life. Practice 1. Choose your becoming identity, 1 sentence. Pick 1 identity sentence for the next 2 weeks. Examples: I'm becoming a steady person. I'm someone who returns. I keep promises that match my real life. I live with self-respect. I tell the truth sooner. I make the next right choice without drama. Practice 2. The proof plan. 3 proofs per week. Identity changes faster when the proof is frequent and small. Choose 3 proof actions you can do this week. They should be easy to measure, done/not done, small enough to repeat, aligned with your values. Examples: walk 10 minutes after lunch, 3 days. Phone outside the bedroom, 4 nights. 1 10-minute tidy reset, 5 days. 1 financial check-in, Sunday, 20 minutes. 1 brave text I've been avoiding. Practice 3. Identity-based decisions. The 10-second question. Before a choice this week, especially when you're tired, ask, what would a person who is becoming blank do next? Not forever, not perfectly, next. Examples: becoming steady. I'll do the minimum instead of quitting. Becoming self-respecting. I'll go to bed instead of scrolling. Becoming honest. I'll say what I mean gently. Practice 4. The return ritual. Identity cement. Your identity isn't proven by never slipping. It's proven by how you return. Troubleshooting, because your old identity will argue, this feels fake. Then your identity statement is too big. Make it smaller and truer. Instead of I'm disciplined, try I'm practicing consistency. Instead of I'm confident, try I'm willing to be seen in small ways. Instead of I'm healed, try I'm learning to care for myself. Truth is what builds trust. I don't know who I am anymore. That's not a crisis, it's a transition. When old identities loosen, there's a middle space that feels empty. That emptiness can feel scary, but it's also fertile. If you don't know who you are, start with, what do I value now? What do I refuse to do anymore? What kind of life would feel like relief? Identity can start as a boundary. I keep going back to old patterns. That doesn't mean you're not changing. It means your nervous system is choosing familiarity under stress. Your job is not to shame it. Your job is to reduce friction and increase support, which is exactly why the next chapter matters. You don't become someone new by wishing. You become someone new by proving. Reinvention becomes gentle and real when you stop trying to force outcomes and start building identity through evidence. Let strategy serve identity. Let identity be built by proof. Let proof be small enough to repeat. You don't need to convince yourself you're a new person. You just need to keep collecting the kind of evidence that makes the old story less believable. And when your identity begins to shift, your strategy stops feeling like a fight. It starts feeling like alignment. In the next chapter, we'll take your becoming identity and make it easier to live. Because your environment is not neutral. It teaches you every day through friction, cues, convenience, and triggers. Chapter 5 will help you design your environment so the person you're becoming is the person you keep choosing. Not through willpower, through structure. Chapter 5. Design your environment for the person you're becoming. If you've ever told yourself, this time I'm going to be consistent, and then watched your week get swallowed by the same distractions, the same clutter, the same habits that seem to happen before you even decide, this chapter is for you. Because the truth is, willpower is not the strongest force in your life. Your environment is. Your space, your phone, your calendar, your kitchen, your relationships, your default routines. These things are quietly shaping your behavior all day long. Not because you're weak, because you're human. Most of what you do is not a character decision. It's a response to what's nearby, easy, loud, tempting, stressful, or familiar. So here's the gentle reframe. You don't need to become more disciplined. You need to make the next right choice easier to choose. This chapter isn't about aesthetic perfection or a dramatic overhaul. It's about building a life that supports the identity you chose in Chapter 4, so you don't have to fight yourself as much. Environment is the bridge between intention and reality. What environment really means, it's more than your house. When people hear environment, they often think clean room, organized closet. That's part of it, but the environment is bigger. It includes physical space, your bedroom, workspace, kitchen, car. Digital space, phone home screen, notifications, apps, tabs, emails. Social space, who you're around, who has access to you, what's normalized. Time structure, your mornings, evenings, transitions, weekends. Emotional environment, the tone you live in, rush, criticism, noise, comparison. Your environment is a set of cues. Cues create behavior. So we're going to work with cues on purpose. The core idea: you don't rise to your goals, you default to your setup. Most lack of motivation is actually friction. If healthy food is hard to access, you'll eat what's easiest. If your phone is always within reach, you'll scroll. If your work is scattered across tabs, you'll procrastinate. If your evenings have no shape, your night will get away from you. If everyone can reach you instantly, your time won't feel like it belongs to you. This chapter asks a practical question. What does my current setup make likely? Not what you intend, what it makes likely. And then, what would a supportive setup make likely instead? The environment equation. Reduce triggers, reduce friction, increase reminders. Here's a simple framework you'll use throughout this chapter. 1. Reduce triggers. Triggers are cues that pull you into an old pattern. Stress, clutter, certain apps, certain people, certain times of day. You don't have to eliminate every trigger, but you can reduce the ones that hit you repeatedly. 2. Reduce friction for the new you. Friction is the effort required to do the right thing. The more steps, the less likely you'll do it. Make the right thing take fewer steps. 3. Increase reminders. Reminders are cues that nudge your becoming identity back into the room. A note on the mirror, a bottle of water you can see, shoes by the door, a calendar block, a proof portfolio page pinned to the top of your notes. Start here. Name your becoming identity. From Chapter 4, write your identity sentence at the top of a page. I am becoming someone who... Keep it visible while you do this chapter. Everything here should serve that sentence. The 4-zone reset. Simple, high impact. You don't need to optimize everything. That leads to overwhelm. Instead, we'll target 4 zones that create the most daily influence. 1. Sleep zone. Bedroom plus night routine cues. 2. Focus zone. Workspace plus digital distractions. 3. Fuel zone. Kitchen plus food defaults. 4. Entry/exit zone. The area that sets your day's tone. Keys, shoes, bag, calendar. Pick one zone to improve first. You can always do the others later. Zone 1. The sleep zone, where self-respect becomes real. Sleep is not a moral issue, it's a foundation. When sleep is unstable, everything else becomes harder. Impulse control drops, cravings rise, anxiety increases, focus slips. Starting over becomes a daily event. Sleep zone principles. Make bedtime easier than scrolling. Make your room cue rest, not stimulation. Protect the last 30 minutes of your day. Quick sleep zone upgrades. Choose 2 to 3. Charge phone outside the bedroom or across the room. Put a book where your phone usually lives. A small light, warm tone for night reading. Closing the kitchen time, a gentle boundary. Prepare tomorrow's essentials. reduces bedtime anxiety. A simple wind-down cue: shower, tea, stretch, playlist. Not perfect, just consistent enough to help. Zone 2. The focus zone. Attention is your life force. A lot of people think they need better time management, but time management fails when your attention is being stolen all day. Your focus zone should make it easier to begin and harder to drift. Focus zone principles. Reduce visual clutter. Clutter is open loops. Choose one starting ritual, a cue that means begin. Remove the fastest distractions: phone, notifications, social tabs. Quick focus zone upgrades. Choose 2 to 3. Clear one surface, desk/table, and declare it the Start Here spot. Put a physical notebook on the desk for the next action. Turn off non-essential notifications, especially social. Move distracting apps off the home screen. Use one tab rule for the first 25 minutes. Keep a distraction list sheet. Write it down, don't follow it. Focus isn't about being strict. It's about making the next action obvious. Zone 3. The fuel zone. Defaults beat decisions. Food is one of the fastest ways your environment decides for you. When you're tired or stressed, you don't rise to your ideal. You default to what's easiest. So we build easy wins. Simple meals, stable snacks, visible healthy options, reduced friction. Fuel zone principles. Make the nourishing choice the fastest choice. Keep shame out of the kitchen. Plan for your real energy, not your imaginary energy. Quick fuel zone upgrades. Choose 2 to 3. Pick 2 default breakfasts you can repeat. Keep a protein plus fruit/veg combo visible: eggs/yogurt plus berries, hummus plus carrots, chicken plus salad kit. Pre-portion one rescue snack for afternoons. Put takeout menus/apps behind friction. Log out, remove saved cards. Keep a 2-minute meal list on the fridge/notes app. This isn't about perfection, it's about stability. Zone 4. The entry/exit zone. Small structure, big relief. This zone reduces daily chaos, especially for people rebuilding self-trust. If your mornings begin with searching, forgetting, rushing, or decision fatigue, your whole day starts in survival mode. Entry/exit zone principles. One home for essentials. One 2-minute reset that prevents tomorrow's panic. Make leaving the house and arriving home calmer. Quick entry/exit upgrades. Choose 2 to 3. A landing pad bowl for keys/wallet/earbuds. Shoes/jacket in one predictable place. Bag packed the night before. A sticky note. What is tomorrow's first step? A 2-minute arrival reset when you get home. Trash, dishes, quick tidy. This is how you create continuity in your life, without needing motivation. Digital environment, the invisible room you live in. A huge part of your environment is your phone. For many people, it's the loudest room in the house. The goal isn't to become anti-technology. The goal is to make your phone serve your becoming identity. The digital reset, 15 minutes. Choose one of these today. Option A, home screen redesign, fastest win. Put your most distracting apps on the last page or in a folder. Put supportive apps up front: notes, calendar, audiobook, meditation, workout. Make your first screen boring. Turn off badge counts for social apps. Option B, notification detox, highest impact. Turn off all non-human notifications, sales, we miss you, news alerts. Keep only what is truly necessary, messages from key people, calendar reminders. Option C, friction for scrolling. Log out of one social app. Remove saved passwords. Remove the app for 7 days. You can reinstall later if you want. The point is not restriction. The point is reducing accidental consumption. Social environment. Not everyone gets access to the new you. You don't have to change your whole social world overnight, but your environment includes who has constant access to your time, your energy, your attention, and your self-concept. A supportive environment includes people who respect your boundaries, people who don't mock your growth, spaces where the new you isn't constantly negotiated away. A simple question: who makes it easier for me to be who I'm becoming? You don't need to cut people off to answer honestly. You just need to start designing access. Troubleshooting, because life will resist at first. I try to organize, but I get overwhelmed. Then you're trying to fix everything at once. Do the smallest version. One drawer, one shelf, one app, one 15-minute zone upgrade. Overwhelm isn't a sign you can't change. It's a sign the change is too large for today. My family/roommates make this hard. Then your goal is not total control, it's one protected pocket. Claim one small area, a corner of a desk, one drawer, one basket, one shelf in the fridge, 1 hour of quiet time. A pocket of order can change your whole mood. I keep undoing my own setup. That's normal in the beginning. Your old patterns are familiar. Instead of shaming yourself, add one reminder. A note on the door, an alarm, shoes by the entrance, a recurring calendar block. Your brain learns through cues. I feel guilty making things easier. If your identity was built on struggle, ease can feel undeserved. But ease is not laziness. Ease is design. And design is how you protect your future self. Stop asking yourself to win in an unsupportive room. If your environment constantly pulls you toward old patterns, you will spend your life starting over. Not because you're weak, but because the room you live in keeps teaching you the old you. So make the room kinder. Make the new choice easier. Make the old choice less automatic. Make your life a little more supportive of who you're becoming. This is not superficial work. This is deep work, because it's how you stop living in constant self-negotiation. And when your environment begins to support you, you'll notice something surprising. You won't need to argue with yourself as much. You'll just begin. In the next chapter, we'll work with the resource that makes reinvention possible, your energy. Because even with the best environment, you still need a rhythm you can sustain, one that respects recovery, boundaries, and real-life demands. Chapter 6 will help you stop trying to catch up through intensity and start building momentum through small starts and steady pacing. Chapter 6: Time, Energy, and the Art of Starting Small. If you feel late, you will try to rush. And when you rush, you will make a plan that looks impressive on paper but collapses in real life, because it's built on panic instead of rhythm. This is one of the most common reinvention traps. You finally decide to change, and immediately your mind starts calculating everything you wish you'd done sooner. Lost time, missed chances, years you can't get back. Then the pressure builds. I need to fix this, fast. But reinvention doesn't respond well to urgency. Urgency creates intensity. Intensity creates burnout. Burnout creates shame. Shame creates quitting. This chapter is here to offer a steadier truth. You don't need a bigger push. You need a sustainable pace. Time is not just hours on a clock. It's also energy. And energy is not just motivation. It's your capacity, your recovery, your attention, your nervous system. In this chapter, you'll learn how to stop trying to catch up through intensity, build a rhythm that your real life can hold, and start so small you can actually stay started. The real problem isn't time, it's energy. Most people say, "I don't have time," but what they mean is, "I don't have the energy to start. I don't have the focus to continue. I don't have the emotional capacity to keep making decisions. I don't have the recovery to sustain effort." You can have a free hour and still feel incapable if your nervous system is overloaded. You can have a full day available and still feel exhausted if you're carrying mental weight you never put down. So we're going to shift the question from, "How do I manage my time better?" to, "How do I manage my energy and reduce the cost of my life?" Because reinvention doesn't require more pressure, it requires more usable capacity. The late feeling: how panic builds unrealistic plans. Feeling late is painful because it tries to solve grief with speed. Underneath urgency, there's often grief. Grief for time lost. Grief for an old identity. Grief for what you didn't know then. Grief for what you tolerated too long. Panic tries to outrun that grief by making everything urgent. But speed doesn't heal grief. It just exhausts you. So if you feel late, you don't need a harsher plan. You need a gentler one that you can sustain long enough for your life to actually change. Your pace is part of your healing. The core model, the energy budget. Think of your energy like money. You have a daily budget. Some expenses are necessary, some are optional. Some are hidden subscription fees you didn't realize you were paying. Your energy budget has 3 categories. 1. Non-negotiables, must pay. Work, caregiving, health needs, basic life admin. 2. Leaks, expenses you can reduce. Scrolling, messy transitions, over-explaining, clutter, people-pleasing, perfectionism, procrastination that creates last-minute stress. 3. Investments, things that return energy. Sleep, movement, simple meals, sunlight, boundaries, focused work, emotional regulation, supportive relationships. Reinvention becomes possible when you reduce leaks, you protect non-negotiables, and you invest in returns. What drains you? Common energy leaks. You may recognize some of these. 1. Decision fatigue. Too many small choices. What to eat, what to wear, when to start, what to focus on. Fix. Pre-decisions, defaults. Default breakfast. Default work start ritual. Default reset routine. Default bedtime cue. 2. Transition chaos. You lose time between tasks, scrolling just for a second, wandering, starting 5 things. Fix. Transition rituals. 2-minute closeout before switching tasks. Set a timer for the next action. Write 1 sentence. Next, I will. 3. Emotional labor and overexposure. Constant availability to messages, demands, conflict, news, and other people's urgency. Fix. Access boundaries. Specific reply windows. Notification cleanup. 1 protected focus block. 1 protected rest block. 4. Perfectionism. Trying to do things the right way makes starting expensive. Fix. Small starts plus minimums. If you can't do it perfectly, do it minimally. That still builds identity evidence. 5. Avoidance debt. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's often discomfort avoidance. But avoidance charges interest. Stress increases as tasks pile up. Fix. Start small rules that lower the emotional cost of beginning. The principle that changes everything. Start small enough to stay consistent. Most people start too big because they want relief fast. But the goal is not to start big. The goal is to start in a way you can repeat. The starting small rule. If you can't imagine doing it on a tired day, it's too big. Starting small doesn't mean staying small forever. It means building consistency first, so expansion has a foundation. The minimum viable day, MVD. Your minimum viable day is a plan for days when life is real. Low sleep, emotional stress, busy schedule, low motivation. It prevents the all or nothing cycle. Build your MVD in 3 parts. 1. One body anchor, 2 to 10 minutes. A walk around the block. Stretching. Water plus protein. Shower plus change clothes. 5 deep breaths plus sunlight. 1. One life anchor, 5 to 15 minutes. Quick tidy reset. Pay 1 bill/send 1 email. Prep tomorrow's essentials. Laundry start. 10-minute admin timer. 1. One identity proof, 2 to 20 minutes. Something aligned with who you're becoming from Chapter 4. 1 page of reading. 1 journal paragraph. 1 skill practice. 1 uncomfortable message, gentle, direct. On hard days, this is enough. Not because it's the final goal, but because it keeps you in the relationship with yourself. Minimum days are how you stop abandoning yourself. Time design. Don't schedule your ideal life, schedule your real life. A sustainable plan respects your energy peaks and dips, your responsibilities, your recovery needs, your emotional capacity. Identify your energy pattern quickly. Circle what sounds most like you. Morning steadier, better focus earlier. Midday steadier, evening steadier. Variable/caregiving chaos. Now choose your golden hour, not literally an hour, but a window where effort is less costly. That's where your most important reinvention action should go, even if it's short. You don't need a perfect routine. You need one protected pocket that happens often. The 3-block day. Simple structure, flexible. Instead of scheduling your entire day like a machine, use 3 blocks. 1. One focus block, 25 to 90 minutes. The thing that moves your life forward. Work, skill, project, finances. 2. One care block, 15 to 45 minutes. Body care plus home care. Food, movement, tidying, admin. 3. One recovery block, 30 to 120 minutes. Rest on purpose. Walk, shower, hobby, reading, time with someone safe, early bedtime. The goal isn't to control every moment. It's to ensure your day contains forward motion and recovery. Because recovery isn't a reward for finishing. It's the condition that makes finishing possible. The catch-up lie. Intensity does not equal progress. When you feel behind, you may try extreme routines, aggressive schedules, rigid restriction, punishment disguised as discipline. It can work for a week, sometimes 2. Then life happens, and the whole structure collapses, and your mind says, "See, you never change." But the problem wasn't you. The problem was the plan's cost. So we measure progress differently. Progress equals what you can repeat, not what you can do once in a burst of adrenaline. Troubleshooting, because real life will test your rhythm. I don't have enough energy to do anything. Start with the smallest body anchor first. Water, sunlight, shower, 2-minute walk. Energy often returns after motion, not before it. If you're chronically depleted, your reinvention plan must include recovery as a priority, not an afterthought. I keep making plans and not following through. Your plan is likely too expensive, too many steps, too rigid, too dependent on high motivation. Shrink it until it becomes believable. Consistency first. I do great for a few days, then fall off. That's a sign you're using intensity instead of rhythm. Your next goal is not to push harder. It's to design a plan you can keep during stress. Rest makes me feel guilty. Rest makes me feel guilty. Then you may have learned that rest equals laziness, or that you must earn care. But reinvention is not a punishment program. Rest is part of becoming someone stable. You don't rest because you're done. You rest because you're building. Small starts are not small lives. Starting small is not settling. It's how you stop breaking your own trust. This chapter is not asking you to do less forever. It's asking you to stop building your life on emergency energy, so your progress can become normal, not heroic. You don't need to catch up. You need to keep going. And the way you keep going is rhythm. A minimum viable day, a few proof actions per week, reduced energy leaks, protected recovery, and a pace that respects your real life. In the next chapter, we'll bring this rhythm into your body, without shame, without punishment. Chapter 7. Reinventing your body without self-hate. We'll show you how to build health as self-respect. Simple practices that stabilize mood, sleep, strength, and confidence, so your reinvention has physical support, not constant struggle. Chapter 7. Reinventing your body without self-hate. If you've ever tried to get it together physically, only to end up in a cycle of strict plans, guilt, and quitting, this chapter is for you. Because a lot of people don't struggle with health because they lack information. They struggle because they've been taught to approach their body like an enemy, something to control, criticize, or punish into compliance. And that approach might create short bursts of effort, but it rarely creates a stable life. This chapter offers a different foundation. Your body is not a problem to fix. It's a place to live. And health works best when it's built on self-respect, not self-hate. We're going to make this practical. No fantasy routines. No new you in 10 days. No humiliation disguised as motivation. Instead, you'll learn how to build a body-based reinvention that supports steadier mood, better sleep, more energy, stronger follow-through, and a calmer relationship with yourself. Not by doing everything, by doing the right few things, consistently enough to feel the difference. The truth most people avoid. Self-hate is expensive. Self-hate feels like fuel because it creates urgency. I have to change. I can't stand this. I'm disgusted with myself. That pressure can produce action temporarily, but it comes with a cost. Anxiety spikes, rebound behavior increases, binging, quitting, avoiding. Shame becomes the soundtrack, and your body associates health with threat. When your body feels threatened, it doesn't cooperate. It protects. It seeks comfort. It seeks quick relief. It braces. So if you've been trying to build health through criticism and it hasn't lasted, you didn't fail. You used a method that creates rebellion and collapse. This chapter is about changing the method. The core reframe: health as self-respect. Self-respect isn't a mood, it's a practice. Self-respect sounds like, I don't punish myself into progress. I don't abandon myself when I'm struggling. I choose stability over extremes. I do things that help future me. You don't have to love your body to care for it. You just have to stop treating it like it's unworthy of care. Sometimes the most honest starting point is, I'm not at peace with my body yet, but I'm willing to treat it with dignity. Dignity is enough to begin. Why your body matters in reinvention, beyond appearance. Your body is not just how you look, it's how you live. When your physical foundation is unstable, reinvention becomes harder because sleep affects cravings, mood, patience, and focus. Movement affects anxiety, depression, confidence, and energy. Nutrition affects blood sugar swings, irritability, and fatigue. Strength affects posture, pain, and the felt sense of capability. A more supported body creates a more supported mind. So we're not chasing a body ideal. We're building a body that can hold your new life. The Body Respect Triangle. Simple, sustainable. To keep this chapter grounded, we'll use one framework. The Body Respect Triangle 1. Stabilize. Sleep plus food rhythm plus hydration. 2. Strengthen. Gentle movement plus basic strength. 3. Soothe. Recovery plus stress regulation. Most people try to skip stabilization and go straight to intense strengthening. But intensity without stabilization is how you get injured, burned out, or demoralized. We start with stabilization because it makes everything else easier. 1. Stabilize. The unglamorous foundation that changes everything. Stabilizer A. Sleep. Not perfect. Protected. You don't need a perfect bedtime routine. You need a protected one. Pick one sleep respect upgrade. Phone out of bed. Consistent lights down time. Caffeine cutoff. Wind down cue. Shower, stretch, reading. Tomorrow prep to reduce bedtime anxiety. Key idea. Sleep is not something you earn. It's something you protect. Stabilizer B. Food rhythm. A calm default, not a strict diet. Many people swing between restriction and chaos. We're aiming for rhythm, a basic structure your body can trust. A stabilizing approach. Protein regularly helps steady your energy and cravings. Fiber and color when possible helps digestion and fullness. Simple repeats, so food doesn't become decision fatigue. Good enough meals, so you don't wait for perfection. This is not a morality system. Food is not good or bad. Food is information. Food is support. Food is comfort sometimes too. We're just reducing the chaos that makes your week harder. Stabilizer C. Hydration, the simplest reset. If you're tired all the time, hydrated baseline is a gentle win. A practical option. Water when you wake up. Water with your first meal. Water mid-afternoon. Not to be perfect, just to stop running on empty. 2. Strengthen. Confidence built through capability. Strengthening isn't only about muscle, it's about identity. I can do hard things in small ways. If you've been afraid to start because you think you need a full program, start here. The minimum effective movement rule. Your movement plan should be small enough to repeat, safe enough to sustain, and simple enough to do without negotiation. You're not trying to make up for lost time. You're training consistency. 2 kinds of movement that help most people. 1. Walking, or any steady, joint-friendly movement. Benefits: mood regulation, sleep support, reduced anxiety, easier consistency. Start with 10 minutes 3 to 5 times per week or 5 minutes daily. 2. Basic strength, to build capability and protect your future self. You don't need complicated workouts. You need a few patterns. Squat/sit to stand. Push, wall push-ups, incline push-ups. Pull, band row, dumbbell row, door frame row. Hinge, good mornings, deadlift pattern light. Carry, grocery carries count. Start with 2 short sessions per week, 10 to 20 minutes. That's enough to create identity evidence without triggering overwhelm. Important note: if you have pain, injuries, or medical concerns, adjust accordingly and consider professional guidance. The goal is support, not pushing through pain. 3. Soothe. Recovery isn't optional. Many people try to reinvent their body while living in constant stress. But stress changes appetite, sleep, motivation, and inflammation. It increases all or nothing thinking. It makes you more likely to reach for quick relief and then shame yourself for it. So we build soothing on purpose. Soothe practices can be small. 5 minutes of breathing, a short stretch before bed, sunlight in the morning, a calm shower, music while you cook, a decompression walk, reducing conflict exposure, including online. Recovery is not what you do when you're done. Recovery is what keeps you going. The self-hate patterns that sabotage health, and what to do instead. Pattern 1. I'll start when I feel confident. Confidence is often the result of caring for your body, not the prerequisite. Instead, start with dignity. Ask, what would a self-respecting person do today, even if they don't feel great? Pattern 2. I missed a day, so I ruined it. That's old identity logic. Instead, use the return skill from earlier chapters. You don't start over, you return. Pattern 3. If I'm not doing a lot, it doesn't count. This is how people stay stuck. Instead, your nervous system needs small wins. Small wins are how you build a stable identity. Pattern 4. I'll punish myself into change. Punishment creates rebellion, secrecy, and burnout. Instead, support creates consistency. Ask, what would make this easier to keep doing? Troubleshooting, because real life is messy. I don't want to be seen at the gym. You don't need the gym to reinvent your body. Start privately. Home strength, walking, simple movement in your living room. Visibility can come later. Your foundation comes first. I overeat when I'm stressed. That's a nervous system strategy, not a moral failure. Support it by stabilizing meals earlier in the day, especially protein, building soothe practices that aren't food only, reducing triggers when possible, sleep, conflict exposure, overwork. Also, if this is a long-term pattern that feels out of control, it may deserve deeper support. You're allowed to seek help without shame. I start strong, then burn out. That's intensity, not rhythm. Shrink the plan until it becomes repeatable. Fewer days, shorter sessions, easier food defaults, more recovery. Your plan should feel almost too easy at first. That's how it becomes real. I hate my body. Then start with neutrality and dignity. You don't have to force love. Try, I can dislike how I feel and still choose care. That's self-respect. You don't owe your body punishment. You owe it support. Reinventing your body doesn't require harshness. Harshness is the old strategy, and it's exhausted you. This chapter is a new agreement. I will build health without humiliation. I will choose what is sustainable over what is dramatic. I will return quickly when I drift. I will treat my body like a partner in my second life, not an enemy I have to defeat. Your body is not here to prove your worth. Your body is here to carry your life. And when you start caring for it with steadiness, something changes quietly. You stop trying to earn your right to begin again. You simply begin. In the next chapter, we bring this same dignity and steadiness into a domain that triggers fear for a lot of people: work and money. We'll focus on stability first, then skills, then options, so your reinvention becomes financially and practically real, not just emotionally inspiring. Chapter 8. Work, Money, and the Courage to Rebuild. Money stress has a special way of shrinking your world. It doesn't just create anxiety about bills, it changes how you think, how you sleep, what you believe is possible, and how much risk your nervous system can tolerate. It can make reinvention feel like a luxury you don't deserve, especially in midlife when responsibilities are real and the margin for error feels smaller. So before we talk about dreams, passions, or big pivots, this chapter starts with something more grounding: stability first, then skills, then options. Not fantasies, not humiliation, not just believe. A real plan you can live inside. Because reinvention is not only emotional, it's practical, and money is one of the places where self-trust becomes tangible. This chapter will help you reduce financial panic so you can think clearly, rebuild confidence through small wins, create a realistic path forward in your work life, and make decisions based on dignity instead of fear. The quiet truth: financial stress isn't a character flaw. If you've ever felt shame about your finances, you're not alone. Many people carry a heavy internal story. I should have planned better. I'm behind. I messed it up. Other adults have this figured out. But shame is not a plan. Shame doesn't improve math. It just drains energy you need to rebuild. So we're going to treat this chapter like we treated your body and your time. No self-hate, just support. You're not here to punish yourself for the past. You're here to build a future you can stand on. The 3 stages: stability, to skills, to options. Think of work and money reinvention in 3 stages. Stage 1, stability. This is about reducing panic and creating a floor. Protect essentials, simplify decisions, stop financial bleeding, create predictable money routines, rebuild the feeling of, I can handle this. Stage 2, skills. This is about increasing capacity and confidence. Strengthen what you already know. Choose one skill lane. Create evidence and momentum. Build a proof portfolio of competence. Stage 3, options. This is about expanding choices. Negotiate, pivot, apply, freelance, retrain, build a second income stream, change environments. Most people want to skip to options because they want relief, but options are built on stability and skills. If you're in a fragile place, your nervous system will treat big change as danger. So we build safety first, then we move. Stage 1, stability, reduce panic so you can think. When you're financially stressed, your mind narrows. You become reactive. You postpone decisions because you're afraid of what you'll see. Avoidance feels like relief, but it creates a growing money dread that follows you everywhere. Stability doesn't require a perfect budget. It requires a simple system you can maintain. The stability goal. Know what's true. Create a floor. Reduce leaks. That's it. 1. Know what's true without drama. You don't need to feel ready to look at your numbers. You just need a calm container. Choose one day this week for a money check-in, 20 to 40 minutes. During that check-in, you only do 3 things. 1. What's coming in? Income sources. 2. What must go out? Essentials. 3. What's overdue/urgent? Top 1 to 3 items. If you stop there, it still counts. This is not punishment, it's orientation. Your nervous system calms down when uncertainty becomes clarity. 2. Create a floor, your bare minimum stability plan. A floor is the plan that covers essentials first. Housing, utilities, food, transportation, medical needs, minimum debt payments if applicable. Everything else becomes a nice to have until the floor is stable. You're not depriving yourself. You're protecting your future self. 3. Reduce leaks. Quiet drains that keep you stuck. Leaks aren't always huge. They're the small costs, money, time, energy, that add up. Common leaks. Subscriptions you forgot. Food delivery because meals aren't stabilized. Late fees because systems aren't set. Impulse purchases when emotions spike. Undercharging if self-employed. Saying yes to work that costs you too much for what it pays. Pick one leak per week. Plugging one leak creates immediate relief and evidence. 4. Automate what you can, simplify what you can't. Stability is often the result of fewer decisions. Automatic bill pay for essentials if possible. 1 day per week to handle money admin. A small buffer goal, even $10 to $25 per week, builds trust. Fewer accounts, fewer systems, fewer apps. Stability loves simplicity. Stage 2. Skills. Build competence you can prove. This stage is about getting out of "I'm stuck" and into "I'm building." Not by reinventing your whole career overnight, but by choosing one lane and building evidence inside it. The skills mindset. Proof over pressure. You don't need to feel confident to start building skill. Confidence is often the byproduct of competence, not the prerequisite. The question is, what skill, if strengthened, would increase my stability within 3 to 6 months? Not forever, not your soulmate career, stability first. Choose your skill lane, one of 3. Pick one lane based on your current reality. Lane A. Deepen what you already do. Best if you have experience but need leverage. A certification, a portfolio refresh, stronger interviewing, better boundaries and performance consistency, a targeted upgrade, tools, software, industry knowledge. Lane B. Translate your strengths into a nearby role. Best if your current role is draining or unstable. Similar field, different environment. Lateral shift with better pay/conditions. Role that values your existing skills more. Lane C. Build a new skill for a new direction. Best if you truly need a pivot. Choose a realistic skill with job demand. Commit to a 12-week learning sprint. Build a portfolio of small projects. Apply before you feel ready. Whichever lane you choose, the rule is the same. One lane, one plan, small proof each week. The Proof Portfolio, Career Edition. In Chapter 3 and 4, you collected evidence for self-trust and identity. Now we apply it to work. A proof portfolio is not just a resume. It's a file, digital or physical, where you keep completed work samples when appropriate, metrics, results you contributed to, training certificates, projects you built, feedback and testimonials, wins you normally dismiss. If your brain forgets your competence under stress, the proof portfolio remembers for you. Stage 3. Options. Expand your choices with dignity. When stability is improving and skills are strengthening, you can open options. Applying, negotiating, seeking better environments, freelance or consulting, building a second income stream, asking for help, mentorship, or referrals, increasing rates or pricing if applicable, shifting from survival work to sustainable work. But options should not be fueled by panic. Options should be fueled by proof. A grounded identity statement for this stage might be, I make work decisions based on dignity and long-term stability. The emotional side, money shame and worthiness. Money is often where old stories live. I don't deserve more. It's too late for me. I'm not good with money. People like me don't get ahead. If I try and fail, it will confirm what I fear. These stories are rarely about numbers. They're about safety, belonging, and identity. So here's a gentle truth. You are allowed to rebuild without being punished first. Responsibility is not the same as shame. You can take responsibility like an adult. This is where I am. This is what I need. This is my next right step. And you can do it without humiliation. Practical frameworks for this. Chapter 1. The one-number focus for overwhelm. If money overwhelms you, pick one number to focus on for 2 weeks. Reduce overdraft/late fees to $0. Pay one minimum consistently. Build a $100 buffer. Increase income by $200 per month. Cut one subscription category by $30 per month. One number creates traction without overload. 2. The two-list method. Stabilize versus grow. Create two lists. Stabilize, must do first. Essentials, overdue items, paperwork, one call/email you've avoided, one weekly check-in. Grow after stabilize. Skill building, resume/portfolio, networking, applying, rate negotiation. If you only do grow while stability is burning, you'll feel like you're moving but still panicking. If you only do stabilize forever, you'll feel safe but stuck. This method prevents both. 3. The dignity filter for work choices. Before you say yes to a job, client, or responsibility, ask, does this pay enough for what it costs me? Does this environment respect my basic humanity? Does this move me towards stability or away from it? Will I have energy left to build my next step? You're not being picky, you're being strategic. Troubleshooting, because this chapter touches fear. I'm embarrassed to look at my finances. Embarrassment is a signal, not a stop sign. Start smaller. 10 minutes only. One account only. One urgent item only. The goal is not to feel good. The goal is to be honest gently enough that you can keep going. I feel stuck because I'm too tired. Then stability has to include recovery. If you're depleted, your reinvention plan must be paced like Chapter 6 taught. Minimum viable days. Tiny proofs. Reduced leaks. Protected rest. Burnout makes everything look impossible. Don't let exhaustion write the story. I'm afraid to try because failing would confirm my worst thoughts. That's why we focus on proof-sized steps. You're not betting your worth on one big leap. You're building a bridge, one plank at a time. I'm starting over at my age. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience plus clarity. Experience still counts, even if your life took turns you didn't plan. Dignity is a financial strategy. Work and money reinvention isn't only about spreadsheets or resumes. It's about building a life where you can breathe. This chapter is not asking you to dream bigger, it's asking you to build steadier. Stability first, so panic stops driving. Skills next, so confidence becomes evidence. Options last, so change is powered by proof, not desperation. You don't have to rebuild perfectly, you have to rebuild honestly. And you don't have to do it alone. You just have to take the next dignified step. As your stability grows, your boundaries will change. Your time will matter more. Your energy will be more protected. And not everyone will know how to relate to you when you stop overgiving. In Chapter 9, we'll talk about relationships, repair, distance, community, and the courage to stop negotiating your growth away. Chapter 9, Relationships. Who gets access to the new you? Reinvention changes your boundaries, even when you don't announce it, even when you don't mean to. When you start keeping promises to yourself, when your time becomes more protected, when you stop over-explaining, when you don't laugh off what hurts, when you rest without apologizing, something shifts in the relational ecosystem around you. Some people will feel inspired. Some people will feel confused. Some people will feel threatened. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because your old role may have helped their life feel stable. If you've spent years being the one who smooths things over, says yes quickly, stays small, tolerates more than you should, or makes everyone else comfortable, then the moment you start choosing yourself, you may hear an old fear rise up. If I change, I'll lose people. This chapter is here to offer a steadier truth. You don't have to lose everyone to stop losing yourself. but you do have to decide who gets access to you and under what terms. Because relationships isn't just romance. It's family, friends, coworkers, communities. The people who get your time, your emotional labor, your presence, your softness, your effort. Reinvention isn't only about becoming, it's also about curating access. The hidden reason relationships get hard during reinvention. Most conflict during reinvention isn't about your goals, it's about the role you played. When you change, you interrupt an unspoken agreement. Examples of old agreements. I'll be the strong one so no one has to worry. I'll be easygoing so nothing becomes a problem. I'll be available so no one feels rejected. I'll stay quiet so I'm not too much. I'll keep forgiving without requiring change. These agreements often formed for survival, to keep peace, to earn love, to reduce conflict, to avoid abandonment, to feel needed. So when you set a boundary now, your nervous system may interpret it as danger, even if it's healthy. That's why this chapter isn't only communication tips, it's identity work. A new you requires new relational rules. The relationship access model, 3 circles. To keep this clear and gentle, we'll use a simple model. Picture 3 circles. Circle 1, inner circle, full access. People who have earned closeness through consistency, respect, emotional safety, repair, and care. They don't punish you for having needs. They don't weaponize your honesty. They can handle your no. Circle 2, middle circle, limited access. People you can enjoy, love, or work with, but with boundaries. Limited time, limited vulnerability, clear expectations, careful topics. Not everyone is unsafe. Some are simply not equipped for your full truth. Circle 3, outer circle, minimal access. People who get politeness, not intimacy. They may be critical, chaotic, or draining. They may violate boundaries repeatedly. They may only feel comfortable with the old version of you. Outer circle doesn't always mean cut off. It means restricted access. This model matters because many people treat everyone like Circle 1. Then they wonder why reinvention feels exhausting. Your growth needs an environment. Chapter 5 taught you that. Relationships are part of your environment. The 2 questions that clarify everything. When deciding who gets access, use these 2 questions. 1. Do I feel more like myself or less like myself after time with them? 2. Do they respect my boundaries or do they negotiate them? You're not asking, are they a good person? You're asking, are they good for my growth? The 4 relationship categories you'll likely face. Most people have a mix of these. 1. The expanders. They make you feel calmer, braver, clearer. They celebrate your consistency. They don't compete with your growth. They respect your pace. Invest here. These relationships are fuel. 2. The neutral/seasonal. Fine people, light relationships. They may not understand your deeper work, but they're not harmful. Keep light and enjoyable. Not everyone is meant to go deep. 3. The drainers. After time with them, you feel foggy, small, guilty, anxious, or reactive. They take more than they give. They create chaos. They normalize disrespect or criticism. They use access to your life without caring for you. Boundaries or distance are required, not optional. 4. The saboteurs, intentional or not. They mock your change, punish your boundaries, or try to pull you back into the old role. Sometimes they do this consciously. Often they do it unconsciously. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to protect your reinvention. Boundaries, what they are and what they aren't. A boundary is not a request for someone to behave differently. A boundary is what you will do to protect your well-being. Not, you need to stop interrupting me. Boundary, if I'm interrupted, I'm going to pause and continue when I'm finished, or end the conversation and revisit later. Boundaries become real when they include a clear limit, a consistent response, and follow-through. And here's the part many people need to hear. You can be kind and still be firm. You can be gentle and still be final. The emotional barrier, guilt. Guilt often shows up when you start setting boundaries, especially if you were raised to prioritize other people's comfort. But guilt is not always a sign you're wrong. Sometimes guilt is simply a sign you're no longer performing an old role. A helpful question: is this guilt because I harmed someone or because I disappointed them? Disappointment is not harm. Someone not getting what they want from you is not the same as you doing something wrong. Repair, distance, or release, the three pathways. Not every relationship needs to end, but many relationships need a decision. Pathway A, repair. Repair is possible when the person has accountability, they can apologize without excuses, and they adjust behavior over time. Repair requires both people to participate. Pathway B, distance. Distance is appropriate when the person isn't unsafe but they aren't supportive, or you keep reverting to old patterns around them, or the relationship costs too much energy. Distance can be fewer calls, shorter visits, less personal disclosure, clear time limits. Pathway C, release. Release may be needed when boundaries are repeatedly violated, there is manipulation, cruelty, or persistent disrespect. Repair is not possible. Your body consistently feels unsafe. Release doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes release is simply, I stop returning. Practical tools for this chapter. 1. The access sentence. A sentence that defines what someone gets. I can do coffee with you, but I'm not discussing my relationship. I'm happy to catch up, but I need to leave by 7. I'm focusing on my health right now, so I'm not available for late-night calls. I'm not able to help with that. Complete sentence. You don't need a long explanation. Explanations often invite negotiation. 2. The no-ja rule. No justifying or arguing. If you tend to over-explain, practice this structure. Warmth, optional. I appreciate you asking. Boundary, I'm not able to. Close, I hope it goes well. Then stop. 3. The neutral repeat. When someone pushes your boundary, repeat the same sentence calmly. I hear you. I'm not available for that. I understand. My answer is still no. I'm not discussing this. Repetition is a boundary skill. Troubleshooting, because relationships trigger old identities. I set a boundary and now I feel anxious. Normal. You disrupted an old role. Your body may expect punishment or abandonment. Do a quick nervous system reset. Slow exhale. Hand on chest. Remind yourself, discomfort is not danger. Return to your boundary sentence without adding more words. Your calm is part of your boundary. They're acting like I'm selfish. People who benefited from your overgiving may label your boundaries as selfish. Ask yourself, am I harming them, or am I just no longer rescuing them? Am I being cruel, or am I being clear? Selfishness is taking at others' expense. Boundaries are protecting your life. I don't want to lose them. You may not have to, but you may need to accept a new version of the relationship. Less access, fewer topics, shorter visits, more structure. Not every relationship can grow with you. Some can only continue with less intimacy. I feel lonely. Loneliness can be part of the transition. The old identity loosens before the new community is built. Treat loneliness as a signal. Your next chapter is community. Not necessarily many people, just the right people. Access is a form of self-respect. Reinvention isn't just personal, it's relational. If you keep giving full access to people who don't respect you, you'll keep negotiating your growth away. Not because you're weak, but because relationships are powerful. This chapter is your permission to choose. Closeness with people who are safe, boundaries with people who are inconsistent, distance from what drains you, and repair only where accountability exists. You don't have to become cold to become free. You just have to become clear. And when you do, something quiet and strong begins to form. A life where the new you doesn't have to fight for space. A life where the new you is protected by you. In the next chapter, we turn everything you've learned into structure. Not a perfect routine, not a rigid identity. A 12-week sprint built on small promises, proof portfolios, supportive environments, stable rhythms, body respect practices, financial rebuilding steps, and relational boundaries. Because insight is powerful, but structure is what makes the second life real. Chapter 10. The Second Life Plan. A 12-week reinvention sprint. Reinvention becomes real when it has structure. Not rigid structure, not a lifestyle overhaul that collapses the first time life gets busy, but a container, something sturdy enough to hold you when motivation fades, when feelings change, when old patterns tug at you. That's what this chapter is, a 12-week container. A sprint, not because you're rushing, but because you're giving your reinvention a clear beginning, a clear middle, and a clear finish. So it doesn't stay a vague someday project that you keep postponing. And there's one gentle rule underneath everything. Your second life is built by proof, not by hype, not by punishment, not by waiting until you feel ready. By proof. Proof you can keep small promises, Chapter 3. Proof your identity can shift through evidence, Chapter 4. Proof your environment can support you, Chapter 5. Proof your time and energy can find rhythm, Chapter 6. Proof your body can be cared for without shame, Chapter 7. Proof your work and money can be rebuilt with dignity, Chapter 8. Proof your relationships can change access without you disappearing, Chapter 9. This sprint turns all of that into a plan you can live inside. Before you start, what this sprint is and isn't. This sprint is a way to build momentum without burning out. A way to create consistency without perfection. A way to measure progress without self-judgment. A way to practice returning instead of restarting. This sprint is not a personality transplant, a punishment program, a fix your whole life at once challenge, a test of your worth. If you've lived through enough false starts, your nervous system doesn't need another dramatic vow. It needs something it can trust. So we'll keep this honest and doable. The core structure: 1 identity, 3 proof actions, 1 weekly review. Everything in the sprint funnels into 4 anchors. 1. Your becoming identity, 1 sentence. 2. 3 proof actions, weekly. 3. A minimum viable day plan for hard days. 4. 1 weekly review, non-negotiable, gentle. If you do only these, you are doing the sprint. Step 1. Set your becoming identity, the sentence that guides the next 12 weeks. Choose 1 sentence that feels believable and grounding. Not dramatic, not performative, true enough to live in. Examples: I am becoming someone who returns instead of spiraling. I am becoming someone who keeps small promises. I am becoming a steady person. I am becoming someone who lives with self-respect. I am becoming someone who makes decisions based on dignity. Write yours. My 12-week becoming identity. I am becoming someone who... Keep this sentence where you can see it. You will use it when you don't know what to do next. Step 2. Choose your proof actions, your weekly receipts. Pick 3 proof actions for week 1. You can adjust them weekly, but you start with 3. They must be measurable, done/not done, small enough to repeat, aligned with your becoming identity. Examples: mix and match. Body: walk 10 minutes after lunch 3 times per week. Strength 2 times per week. Protein at breakfast 5 days. Environment: phone out of bedroom 5 nights. Clear 1 surface daily. 15-minute reset 3 times per week. Time/energy: 1 25-minute focus block 3 times per week. Bedtime wind down 4 nights. Work/money: weekly money check-in, 1 application, 1 skill session 2 times per week, plug 1 leak. Relationships: 1 boundary sentence practiced, 1 supportive connection reached out to, reduced access to 1 drainer. Step 3. Build your minimum viable day so you don't quit when life happens. You already practiced this in Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Now we formalize it. On hard days, you do minimums so you can keep your identity intact. Step 4. The weekly review, the heartbeat of the sprint. Pick 1 day/time. This is your sprint's anchor. My weekly review happens on @weekly review, 20 to 30 minutes. 1. Proof check, no shame. Proof action number 1, partial, not done. Proof action number 2, done, partial, not done. Proof action number 3, done, partial, not done. 2. What worked? 1 to 3 bullets. 1. Chapter 4. 3. What got in the way? Facts, not insults. 4. Repair plus adjust. Make it more believable. I will make next week easier by 5. Choose next week's 3 proof actions, same or adjusted. This review is where people stop starting over. It turns slips into data and keeps momentum alive.
The 12-week sprint, week by week. Each week has a theme, what you're practicing, a focus, what matters most, and a proof menu. Choose 3 weekly proofs total, not all. Weeks 1 to 2, stabilize plus begin, no drama. Theme: I start small and stay started. Focus: protect energy, sleep, rhythm. Reduce friction, environment. Build the proof portfolio habit. Good proof options: weekly review scheduled plus completed. Phone out of bedroom 4 to 5 nights. 10-minute walk 3 times per week. 1 focus block, 25 minutes, 3 times per week. Simple default breakfast 5 days. 15-minute reset 3 times per week. Reminder: the goal is not transformation yet. The goal is traction. Weeks 3 to 4. Identity through evidence. Theme: I believe myself because I have receipts. Focus: proof portfolio, daily/weekly evidence lines. Repair after slips, fast return. Identity-based decisions, the 10-second question. Good proof options: write 5 proof lines per week. I showed up when. Use the return ritual once and record it. 1 boundary sentence practiced. 2 strength sessions per week, 10 to 20 minutes. 1 money check-in per week. Weeks 5 to 6. Environment plus time. Make it easier. Theme: my life supports me. Focus: reduce energy leaks. Design 1 zone: sleep,
focus/fuel/entry/exit. Protect a small focus pocket. Good proof options. 1 zone upgrade plus maintained for 7 days. Notifications detox plus 2 daily message windows. 1 protected focus block 4 times per week. 1 admin sprint, 15 to 30 minutes, weekly. Weeks 7 to 8. Body plus energy, self-respect in motion. Theme: I care for my body without punishment. Focus: stabilization and rhythm, not extremes. Consistent movement: shame interruption plus dignity choices. Good proof options. MVBD completed on hard days. Track it as success. Walk 10 to 20 minutes 4 times per week. Strength 2 times per week. 2 default meals repeated. Sleep respect upgrade. Phone out of bed, wind down cue. Weeks 9 to 10. Work plus money, dignity and stability. Theme: I rebuild with clarity. Focus: stability floor awareness. Plug 1 leak. Skill sprint and/or outreach. Good proof options. Weekly money check-in done. Plug 1 leak. Subscription, late fees, delivery. 2 skill sessions per week. 1 outreach message per week. 1 application or portfolio update per week. Note: this stage is not about finding your passion first. It's about building options. Week 11. Relationships plus access. Protect your second life. Theme: access is earned. Focus: update 1 relationship dynamic. Strengthen 1 supportive connection. Limit 1 drainer. Good proof options. 1 clear boundary conversation or boundary action. 1 inner circle investment, time with safe person. 1 reduced access decision, less availability, shorter visits, fewer topics. Week 12. Integrate plus choose your next 12 weeks. Theme: I don't go back to vague. Focus: celebrate evidence. Consolidate what worked. Plan the next sprint with wiser goals. Week 12 deliverables. A written proof portfolio summary. A maintenance plan. Minimums plus weekly review. Next sprint's identity sentence and proof actions. Your proof portfolio, final form. Throughout the sprint, you collect proof. In week 12, you assemble it. Make a page titled Proof I'm Living My Second Life. Include kept promises, even small ones. Returns, moments you drifted and came back. Boundaries, proof you protected your time/energy. Body respect, movement, sleep, nourishment choices. Money actions, check-ins, leaks plugged, skills built. Relationship shifts, access updated, support strengthened. This portfolio isn't for social media. It's for your nervous system. Because your nervous system stops panicking when it sees, this is real, I'm doing it. The 2 rules that keep the sprint gentle and effective. Rule 1. Minimums count. If you only show up with minimums for a week, that week still counts. Why? Because you didn't abandon yourself. Rule 2. Repair beats restarting. When you miss, you do not declare a reset. You do a repair. A repair is name it, adjust it, do a closing action, continue. That's adulthood. That's self-trust. That's reinvention. Chapter 10. Exercises. Book ready. Exercise A. Your 12-week plan. Fill in. Becoming identity. My weekly review day/time, blank.
My week 1 proof actions: 3. 1 blank, 2 blank, 3 blank. 3. My minimum viable day: body anchor, life anchor.
My minimum viable day: body anchor, life anchor, identity proof. Exercise B, the return plan card. Keep it visible. When I drift, I will 1. Name it. 2. Find cause. 3. Adjust. 4. Closing action, 60 seconds. Exercise C, Week 12 reflection prompts. The old version of me used to. The current version of me now. The biggest proof I have is blank. The next 12 weeks will be guided by blank. Your second life is not a miracle. It's a practice. You don't need a perfect personality. You need a reliable container. This 12-week sprint is not meant to make you finished. It's meant to make you in motion, with proof you can trust. Because the real victory isn't that you never struggle again. The real victory is that struggle stops being the end of the story. You return. You repair. You continue. That is the second life. Not a fantasy, a practice. Conclusion: the life you keep choosing. If you've read this far, you already did something important. You stayed with yourself. That alone is evidence. A lot of people think reinvention requires a new personality, a different past, or a level of confidence they don't have yet. But what you've seen across these chapters is simpler and more humane. You stop arguing with yourself, not by forcing agreement, but by creating safety. You forgive without pretending, because shame is not a strategy. You rebuild self-trust with small promises and honest repair. You shift identity through evidence, not hype. You design your environment so the new you isn't always fighting for air. You respect time and energy because rhythm beats intensity. You care for your body without humiliation because dignity is sustainable. You rebuild work and money with stability first, then skills, then options. You update relationships by curating access, so growth isn't negotiated away. And you build structure, a container, so your second life doesn't remain a wish. Reinvention doesn't mean erasing your past. It means changing your relationship to it. It means you stop treating your life like something you have to earn through punishment and start treating it like something you can build through steady care. You may still have days where you doubt yourself. That doesn't disqualify you. Doubt is just a feeling, often a protective one, showing up at the edge of change. When doubt appears, come back to what works: your minimums, your proof, your weekly review, your boundaries, your return. And if you forget everything else, remember this: the person you're becoming is not proven by perfection. She's proven by return. You don't have to do this loudly. You don't have to do it quickly. You don't have to do it alone. You just have to keep choosing the next honest step, again and again, until it becomes your life. And one day, without a dramatic announcement, you'll look around and realize, this is it. This is my second life, and I'm here. A lot of people are carrying private battles, quiet shame, quiet exhaustion, quiet fear that they missed their moment. If you know someone like that, please share this audiobook with them. It's not a push. It's a hand on the shoulder that says, start small, come back, keep going. Sharing is how this reaches the person who needs it most.